Hi friends, today we're going to be talking about the new iPhone 14 Pro cameras. I was going to talk about the BlackBerry 87 and its 2500mm telephoto, but I figured this was a more pressing matter. I watched the Apple event, and I love watching Apple events. It's always a special occasion for me. I watched 50% because of the products and 50% because of the production quality, because it's just phenomenal. Today, we're not going to talk about the iPhone 14 Pro. We're going to talk about the iPhone 14 Pro's
magical
cameras. Now, this will not be an exhaustive breakdown of these
magical
cameras. I'm just sharing my thoughts, the things I thought were
enhancing and enriching the experiences you have with these products.
I want to focus on the back cameras. If I'm sure there's a selfie camera focused video out there, but today we'll focus on the back ones. They have what they call the main camera, and I'm pretty sure it was named the wide camera before, so they changed it to main, which is interesting because that's what I call that camera. When I open it up, I'll go, this is the main camera, this is the telephoto camera, and this is the wide camera, although it's technically the ultra wide camera. I think they heard my cries, even though I did not speak to anybody. I think they're probably using some sort of, my guess is that this, ancient phone is actually reading my thoughts, and they understand that I want to call it the main camera. Anyway, the main camera is 24 millimeters. It used to be 26. So now, for you wide-angle lovers, you have an extra 2 millimeters, and that's a pretty big deal. So much landscape. The telephoto is 77 millimeters, and the ultra-wide is 13 millimeters. And one of the major things that was interesting to me about this upgrade is that the cameras are now 48 megapixels. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh boy, I don't need all my photos to be 50 megapixels. But apparently you can shoot in a way where 4 pixels are combined into one, and you create a 12 megapixel image just like the current cameras, and so you're able to save space, so you can make a choice there. So that's nice. This would be really great for when you do want to have almost 50 megapixels. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting applications here. I think there's going to be some nice abilities to crop in on things, and with cameras that have such a dynamic use case, I think this is overall going to be a good thing, but I do think it was a big deal that there was the ability to not have to use up all of your storage so quickly. You can also shoot in ProRAW for some serious photo taking. I like how they were like, normal RAW is not good enough for us. We want ProRAW. All those people with those full frame Sony and Canon cameras, they're shooting amateur RAW. Only iPhone has ProRAW. So I've always thought that the resolution and megapixel count really is not everything, and it's not. But like I said, for such a dynamic use case as we're going to have with these cameras, I think it's an interesting move. I think it's going to be helpful in a lot of ways. So we also have sensors that are 65% larger, which means instead of a very tiny sensor, we now have a slightly less very tiny sensor. So we still don't have full frame. With 3 full frame sensors in our phones, that would be fantastic. I would love that very much, although I think my battery life would probably have to suffer with all the extra space that would be needed for such a thing. But that's nice, because that'll certainly help out with things like shallow depth of field and having better low light performance. Now, to circle back around to the 48 megapixels situation, we also have the ability to have a 2x telephoto as well as a 3x telephoto. And what's happening there is we have the main camera, and then with the main camera, we're actually cropping in to the center of that sensor, right? That is creating a 12 megapixel image that allows for a 48 millimeter telephoto. Then we have the real telephoto camera producing a 77 millimeter telephoto. So a true telephoto. Now it's funny because on the Apple website, they say that there's no digital zoom happening here. And I find that hilarious because that's actually exactly what's happening. You just have a very high megapixel count sensor that you're zooming in on digitally, and you still have a ton of resolution left over because of that. So technically yes, but marketing. On the ultra wide, we're supposed to have 3 times better low light performance, and that is very exciting because the ultra wide does not do well with low light currently. and 2 times better on the main camera and 2 times better on the telephoto.
This leverages the full power
of the dark side.
Better low light performance, always good. Probably has something to do with that 65% larger sensor. Now I want to talk about the video side of things a little bit. I don't know if you guys know this, but iPhone actually shoots video as well. And if you don't know what a video is, it's a bunch of photos played back very quickly. If you've never seen a video before, I would encourage you to watch one. I think you can go on YouTube and pull up these videos. Very cool, you know, and most of them are fast enough that it actually looks like real life. You can shoot in 4K HDR at 24 frames per second. That's fun. If you go on their website, it says 24 breathtaking frames per second. You're literally killing your viewers because they can't breathe, because their breath has been removed due to the sheer brilliance of 24 pictures happening over and over. What? And one of the things that's really interesting is they have this thing called action mode, and it's like hyper stabilization, and it's kind of this idea that you don't need a gimbal to achieve gimbal-like footage. And so they had this video on their website, and I'm very curious what the cameraman is on. Is the cameraman riding on a cart? Is the cameraman running? Did they throw the phone as the person was running and it's, you know, stayed steady with? I'm very curious about that, but it looks pretty nice. Looks pretty well implemented. The stabilization on the iPhone is already pretty fantastic anyway, so cool. Now, of course, they're also doing plenty of fancy computer stuff. Like, for example, it says, dimly added the all-new photonic engine, our game-changing image pipeline. It allows deep fusion, which merges the best pixels from multiple exposures into one phenomenal photo. Well, I don't know what does best pixels mean. I'm not really sure what defines a best pixel. How do they judge what a best pixel is? Fascinating. To happen earlier in the process on uncompressed images. This preserves much more data to deliver brighter, more lifelike colors and beautifully detailed textures in less light than ever. And then there's this statement, which I have no idea what this actually means. The latest Apple Silicon performs up to 4 trillion operations per photo. What's happening there? 4 trillion? I thought the shutter just opened and then the sensor saw the world and then it goes, okay, I'll make this. This might be alien technology. And something they've been doing for a while now is the flash is very dynamic, so it would actually adjust to your lighting situation to create more natural tones. And I think that's pretty cool, you know, if you're using the flash, which I never do except by accident. So overall, I gotta say that these phones are fantastic, serious machines for taking photos. You can make beautiful photos and have a lot of fun shooting. There's a lot of automatic stuff that happens in here that is going to make your photo look very nice. And if you want to just shoot in that, in you know, a very free-form type of way, I found that the iPhone is one of the better ways to do that. You have so much versatility with these 3 different focal lengths, and now I guess 4, 3.5. At this point, these are camera bags inside a little rectangle, right? You have multiple, each one of these is a different camera. And it's tiny. You can put it in your pocket. It's amazing. It's not a full frame yet, but it's amazing. I certainly think that there is way more justification to use this as a serious photo-taking device as there is to use this as a serious video-making device. You can do it, but there are still serious limitations in comparison to shooting with other video cameras. The gap is much bigger there. But you can do a little bit of anything with this phone. But for photos on a very practical level, these are very capable. There are not many use cases that this could not do a pretty good job in. It's really amazing how far we've come. I do remember having a BlackBerry and taking photos that looked like a foot. And now the photos that we're capturing with these phones are just very technically beautiful, nice and sharp, very good low light performance. When they introduced the telephoto, you were now able to take very polished looking photos and very cinematic looking videos. That really added a lot. When you're able to use the ultra wide for example, travel, landscape photography, that sort of thing, you were able to take those types of very wide angle, beautiful, capturing everything type of photos. You know, I always say that the best camera is the one that you have on you, and this is now a camera bag that you have on you at all times. The capabilities we have are, we're able to easily go from taking, you know, thoughtful, well-composed photography photos, being in photography mode, to taking snapshots, capturing the document, taking a photo of your food. I'm taking tons of photos and videos of my daughter now. All of that is stored in this thing that you can share from. You can organize all those photos. They go straight to the cloud if you want them to. It's just good. It really is good. So good. The only thing it doesn't do is make toast. So anyway, I'm excited about these updates. I think they're interesting, and I'm actually quite excited about the new almost 50 megapixel camera. That's how I want to refer to it from now on. I think that's fun. The almost 50 megapixel cameras. But of course, remember, if you don't have this yet, I don't have this yet, if you have a relatively recent iPhone, you have a very capable device for taking photos and shooting videos. With all that gear, doesn't matter. No. I made a video about that if you want to check that out. I don't like that phrase. It causes pain in my liver. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and found this helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below about everything that I've spoken about today. I do have a Lightroom preset collection. If you want to check that out and support what I'm up to here, I would really appreciate that. And I hope you have
a great day.